For decades, thousands of Saudi Arabian men have traveled abroad as university students. Many take advantage of their new freedom to have relationships with foreign women, only to abandon them when they become pregnant.
Le había dicho a mi mamá que iba a regresar y nunca regresó, entonces...
Now, the children they left behind are searching for answers.
I spent thousands and thousands of hours searching for them.
And yearning to know their Saudi fathers.
Do we need a permit? How do we go about that?
I'm Brietta Haig, an Australian filmmaker and journalist. For the last year, I've been working with Saudi journalist Issam Al-Khalib, and we've been investigating Saudi children abroad who've been abandoned by their fathers.
I do hope that the father does recognize him.
The wealthy Arab kingdom is now opening up to the world. Will it finally acknowledge the Saudi children left behind? Jared Morrison is as all-American as they come.
You want to say a blessing? I want me to.
No, I want you to.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this delicious meal you've blessed us with this day. We ask you to help us to have a wonderful day.
A Washington State Guard and full-time insurance agent, he values God, his family, and hard work.
All right, what do you want to do first?
I would like some...
But from a young age, he knew he was different from the other kids in his white, working-class town.
So my full name is Jared Al-Jasser Morrison. My father was a student at Portland State University in the 70s, as well as Clark College across the river in Vancouver. He and my mother met at Clark College when she was a student there as well, around 1974. And they fell in love, and they dated for a while, and my mother wound up pregnant with me. And upon hearing that, I think my father had some challenges or some fear, and they eventually split up, and he went back to Saudi Arabia.
Jared was raised by his mother and grandparents. When he was 6 years old, his mother told him he had a father in an Arab kingdom.
My child mind built it up, daydreaming that, you know, maybe someday I'll walk outside and there'll be this long, black, stretched car pulling up in front of my house with diplomatic flags lining the vehicle, and then he would get out wearing, you know, his thobe and shamag and kneel down and greet me, you know, kneel down and outstretch his arms to me.
But Saudi Arabia was not the romantic world of his childhood imagination. An oil boom had made the Bedouin society staggeringly rich. Families grew powerful through international trade, while ultra-conservative clerics railed against Western decadence. Young men could have experiences abroad. Back home, they were expected to forget them or keep them secret.
So my understanding is they met at a party here. Obviously there was some attraction. They started dating, and according to my mom, they decided to go steady, right? Not see anybody else. He spoke English very well. He was very educated. He presented himself very well.
A deep desire to know his Saudi father grew into an obsession to find him.
When I started looking for my father, the first attempt was when I was 12 years old. My mother woke me up about 2 o'clock in the morning. I remember her dialing international information and trying to navigate that. And then you fast forward 20 plus years until the beginning of 2000. That's when I picked up and started searching for him again. I spent thousands and thousands of hours. It took me a couple of years. Ultimately, I managed to get my father's cell phone number in Riyadh. I'll never forget, my heart was just boom, 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 racing. It literally felt like it was beating out of my chest. He finally says, "What do you want?" So now here's my chance. Here's my chance to give him my sales pitch, right?
After initially denying paternity, he finally admitted Jared was his son.
I said, Mr. Al-Jasser. I would never address him as father or dad or anything like that. So I said, do you have any desire or intention to ever know me? And almost as if I asked you if you would like your steak rare, it was just very matter of fact, I'm sorry, but no. All of a sudden, the only thing I could think of is my mom telling me when I was 12 years old that I could be setting myself up for a psychological punch in the nose. I was so shocked. It literally, I felt it physically. It blew me away that someone could just have the emotional switch completely turned off like that. It's still foreign to me to this day.
The rejection has had a profound impact on Jared's life.
The mistake of one parent, the act or omission of one parent, can have consequences for generations to come.
But Jared has never given up the dream of finding his father.
I had that overwhelming urge and drive to find him, locate him, learn about him, learn about the culture. It was just an innate instinct.
As Saudi Arabia opens to the world, entering as a tourist is possible for the first time. Jared has decided to travel to the kingdom to try and make contact with his family.
It's a dream I've always had since I was a child. To explore that cultural heritage, that genetic pull. Can't really describe it, but I've always been fascinated with trying to explore the links to, my brown skin and my dark hair. Ooh. Hopefully, I'll be able to connect with my father. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Oh, no, 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 no. No, where'd it go? Oh. What's up with that? I thought we were gonna be having salmon for dinner tonight. I wanna cry. So I pull it in as far as I could, wearing brand new shoes. It was either a salmon or a steelhead. No GI.
A few days before his flight to the kingdom, Jared's close friends gather to farewell him.
I have a hard time even grasping what you have to be going through in your heart and in your head. I'll be honest that you may answer some questions, but at what cost?
Yeah, well, I think I've already paid the price when he flat out told me that he had no interest in knowing me. He's in his early 70s. He's got to be coming up on 74 right now. But while he's reflecting on his life and he tries to make amends or rationalize all the things that he's done and ask for forgiveness, am I going to be one of the things that he thinks about, one of his great regrets that he wants to make amends for? As he's got one foot into the afterlife, I don't know.
You have a completely different religious background than the entire country.
Wearing a cross in Saudi Arabia, public displays of any religion other than Islam is frowned upon. So if I was Catholic,
it can't get you killed.
It's probably I don't know.
You don't normally wear.
I don't wear a cross anyway. The only thing I wear around my neck is my dog tags. But
which you are not taking,
which
right?
I'm not taking. You guys will not allow me to wear my dog tags. It's okay.
There's a lot of concern and a lot of hopes for you in what's going to come up in your trip. I wish you the safest of travels. So here's to you in Saudi.
And I get to ride a camel.
Please,
I know, that's the first thing that I was thinking.
Jared's story is one of many. In Guatemala City, 10-year-old Sami Al-Raji Chang is answering the call to prayer at a local mosque. It's his only connection to his father.
He estado acercando un poco a la mezquita porque quisiera aprender un poco de árabe por si algún día puedo hablar con mi papá para poderle hablar. Mi papá se llama Sulaimán, yo no me sé sus otros nombres, también quisiera conocer sus otros nombres. Él es de Arabia, yo quisiera poder hablar alguna vez con él porque no pasé casi que mucho tiempo con él. Creo que yo nací a los 2 días, se fue a Arabia, mi mamá, le había dicho a mi mamá que iba a regresar y nunca regresó, entonces...
Sammy's father, Suleiman, was studying on a scholarship in the USA. He was part of a Saudi government program that paid full tuition fees and a living allowance to students abroad. While at university, Suleiman met Guatemalan student Mandre Chang. They began a relationship and talked about getting married.
Our relationship was good, we didn't have any problem, and suddenly I discovered that I was pregnant. Then he decided to go to Saudi Arabia. He said that he will travel for 2 weeks, that he is going to go to visit his family.
Mandre's pregnancy was complicated. She felt desperate and alone. Contact with Suleiman was intermittent.
I consider myself to be a strong woman. I don't usually cry, but in that period of time, I cried a lot.
Suleiman eventually returned to the States and acknowledged baby Sammy, changing the birth certificate to include his name. But he told Mandre he didn't want to be in Sammy's life.
He said, like, no, I'm sorry, I will start in here and you will be doing your life with the baby.
Mandre has not heard from Suleiman since. Without financial support in the US, she returned to Guatemala to be close to family. But Mandre can't register Sammy as a Guatemalan citizen without Suleiman's involvement.
Sammy is illegal in Guatemala. It was difficult for me to register him in school because they always ask for his father's signature. I have to pay a fine.
Mandre set out to track down Suleiman. In her search, she came across a blog called Saudi Children Left Behind. It featured the stories of other people searching for Saudi fathers. The blog was created by Jennifer Crystal, an American woman with a story just like Mandre's.
Hi, Mandre, how are you?
Doing good.
They quickly became allies.
Do you remember how it was before we started talking?
Oh my gosh. 10 years ago, in the small town that I lived in Ohio, there were like 5 girls that had a similar situation to what you and I were in. And I remember thinking at that time, if it's such a problem in this very, very small community, how bad is it everywhere else? So created the blog, and lo and behold, there was so many people all over, not only here in the United States, but you know, we had people that were in the Philippines and we had people that were in Australia contacting us after you and I actually kind of got together.
Mandre helped manage the blog, fielding hundreds of messages from women all around the world.
Mostly US, Philippines, some other Latin countries.
ينضم إلينا من غواتيمالا ماندر شانغ.
The blog caused a sensation in Saudi Arabia, featuring on news reports and talk shows.
Well, we're meeting Minneapolis, Minnesota.
لقد التقينا في مدينة مينيابوليس. خلينا نقول أولاً أن الظاهرة هذه موجودة ترى عند السعوديين وغير السعوديين، لكن ربما حساسية هذا الموضوع في مجتمع مسلم عربي يعني يمكن يكون حساسيته مرتفعة أكثر. ويمكن الأمريكيات اللي عملوا هذا الموقع هم عارفين مستوى هذا الحساسية وبالتالي عملوا الموقع وإلا يعني ما هو وهم موجودين بكثرة.
Saudi Arabia's strict Sharia law makes it all but impossible for students to marry the women they fall in love with. Government permission is required to wed foreigners, and only men over 30 are eligible. Non-Muslims are expected to convert to Islam. The Saudi government has never acknowledged the large number of abandoned children. But one non-government organisation called Awasa claims to help them. Mandre reached out to the group, and at first they agreed to assist her.
But when I sent all the paperwork, Suleiman's signature on the birth certificate, the acknowledgement and everything, they suddenly disappeared.
Awassa says they've helped organise the return of 8,000 abandoned Saudi children to the kingdom. We've been unable to verify these claims. The number of Saudi students studying abroad has soared since the government began its scholarship program. Little has been done to prepare them.
It's like you are in a room without anything, and then you just open the door and you see all the amazing things. Girls do not dress in the US like in Saudi Arabia. You cannot go to have dinner with a man in Saudi Arabia, but in the US you can't do it. You can walk freely in the university or college with women around. And also classes are mixed. In Saudi Arabia, they have schools for men and schools for women. So it's kind of complicated because in the other side, women like me or others, they don't know about Saudi culture.
Jared Al-Jasser Morrison has come to Saudi Arabia to try and find his father. He begins in Jeddah, the gateway to the Islamic holy cities of Mecca and Medina. This is Jared's first time outside North America.
Good morning.
Tell me about what it's been like the last 24 hours.
It's definitely a culture shock. It's really, it's pretty awesome. I'm hoping to learn more details about my family's cultural history and potentially why, what would lead my father to make a decision that he did, 45 years ago, and understand that better through the eyes of an Arab over here, because I can only look at it from the eyes of a Westerner.
Jared is invited to talk with religious and political scholar Sadek Malki and his American Muslim friend Samuel. Sadek lived and studied in the US and understands the cultural conflicts that confront Saudis in the West. They meet at the traditional home of a renowned architect.
Well, I had some questions for you, if you don't mind.
Yes, please, the most difficult.
So my father was one of the first wave of Saudis that came to the US in the 70s, right? And so coming from a country, obviously at the time, from my understanding anyway, that Saudi Arabia at this time was very, very ultra-conservative.
Yeah.
Men and women had to be separated. My mother fell in love with my father, they dated. My mother thought that they were going to progress and into marriage eventually. She wound up pregnant with me, and then he basically got scared and from what it seems, took off back to Saudi Arabia.
I would say one of every 100 Saudi goes to the States have a similar story. Now, the time frame that the place took place, Saudi Arabia was too conservative to even admit a story like this, even though it's happening even here,
Is it still happening right now?
Yeah, of course. If people are human.
So, what were some reasons that he may have caused him fear? Because I know some other...
Probably this man, your father, is not a bad man. What happened is that he just thought, how can I go back to Saudi Arabia, a country where people are veiling women, with a lady, probably she's blonde or something, and she will not, she's a feminist, and you put yourself in his shoes, it would be disaster. I mean, we in this part, we had a guy.
Jared realizes his father would have been ostracized by his family and society had he married a foreigner and non-Muslim.
I can only imagine what it's like coming from a very conservative environment, that you can have lifelong consequences, not just for yourself, but for other people.
Jared begins to explore a land he's only ever dreamed about.
Looking at the Arabian culture through Western eyes is beautiful. What's in here? Oh, wow. I'm still learning about the different cultures within this country. You've got the country itself, and then each region has its own flavor.
Amazing. This is amazing.
It's definitely a cultural awakening.
Now I feel Saudi.
In Riyadh, Jared's finally going to meet a blood relative. He's managed to track down a first cousin through social media.
I'm excited to meet my cousin. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how well I'll be received. When I talked to him about a month ago and I told him I'd be coming here, he told me, do not worry, you're one of us. I'm of the young generation. I'm not of the old generation with old beliefs. I have young beliefs and new beliefs, and I accept everyone. I don't think I've ever been in a hotel this nice. They have fruit. I think he felt like he needed to reassure me that he wouldn't deny me or shun me or anything.
Jared, now you're going to meet with your cousin. Are you worried you might cause scandal for your father?
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine with that. That's something he has to deal with. That is not my problem. That is not my problem. I'm tired of feeling ashamed. Every child, no matter what religion they're from, no matter what race they're from, every child is entitled to a mother and a father.
Jared has asked us to protect the privacy of the family and asks us not to film the meeting. Okay, Jared, so tell me about that experience last night.
It was absolutely amazing. I met my cousin, and he came and picked me up at the hotel. When he got out and he saw me, he said I looked like the sands of Arabia run in my veins, and I look like I'm Bedouin. It was really just a lifelong dream to be able to actualize that and touch and look at this person.
It must have been really emotional for your cousin to see you because you look so much like your father.
He said I look exactly like him. Not only like my father, but like the rest of the Al Jasser family. He said when he saw me that there was absolutely no doubt.
And did you talk to your cousin about your quest to find your father?
I did. He said he wasn't sure how to deal with that. He said it would cause a lot of internal issues with the family. There's some other pretty serious internal dynamics, which after hearing those, I understand the decision that was made a lot more now. I understand a lot more in detail the culture of his family and the sheer terror that my father must have felt from his family as well as his community. So that opened up my eyes a lot, and I actually started to feel sympathy. Never thought I would say that.
Wow, Jared.
Never thought I would say that, but it helps me understand a lot more of the culture and why that decision was made.
What did he say about the younger generations of your family?
Totally different. Totally different. Very open-minded. The difference between the old generation and you know, the new school train of thought that's more accepting and more, it's been raised with more of a Western influence.
So, do you feel like you're in the process of being accepted by the younger members of your family?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Jared's cousin promises to introduce him to his uncle, but nothing eventuates. The younger generation may be open to change, but Jared senses they're still bound by the old rules of conservative Islam and preserving family honor.
I was hoping to meet my uncle, but that didn't work out. Sometimes I feel frustrated and despondent that maybe they're not sure how to deal with it and they really don't want to because they don't want to cause embarrassment to anybody or rock the boat.
Despite his disappointment, Jared has found connecting with his Arab identity a deeply moving experience.
I've made a lot of progress on the goal. My journey's not over. My journey has just begun. I've met my cousin. Haven't met my uncle or my father yet. I think that's just a matter of time. I'm happy that I came here. It's just a wonderful, life-changing event. I have absolutely found peace. As a matter of fact, a lot of my friends have seen the pictures that I've sent, and they say that I actually look like I'm at peace. So even though I haven't met my father, just even being here, just sitting here in the sky, I feel peace in my heart.
In Guatemala City, Sammy and Mandre have found solace in the local Muslim community.
La verdad que sí, tuvo contacto con la mamá, con Sammy desde chiquito. Y eso es que tal vez le ayuda más adelante si el papá requiere conocer. Ahí va a ser una persona preparada. Y la verdad que un rol del papá no debe tener el hijo.
The director of the Islamic Association, Anwar Qadar, even tried to act as a mediator.
Y de esta época, casi hace 6 años, no respondieron, no querían responder.
Mandre still holds out hope that one day Suleiman may respond to her messages.
I don't want Sammy to grow up having a bad image about his dad. I think that he will get into an age that he can build his own conclusions and have an opinion about his dad.
Me siento un poco bien porque tengo mi familia acá que me quiere, mi abuelo, mi mamá, mi papá, mis tíos. Pero también me siento un poco mal por no poder haber todavía conocido a mi papá. Por eso también me siento un poco mal. Quería, si mi papá va a ver este documental, quería decirle que quisiera conocerlo algún día para poder hablar con él. Ya, solo. Gracias.